I'll rip and screaming from your soul. We'll watch it fall. Now your clouds are all gone. Come on, set your light through. Just set your light through before we're only whispers in the wind. You can turn my world upside down in a rush like I've not felt before. I can't trust myself. I need you to make it turn. I know. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can't write our romance. We'll never be the same again. I could keep the light from turning into darkness. You'd be my escape. What have we been told? Is it true or false? Future might seem average, but we're getting close. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can't write our romance. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid.
With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling events of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience unlike any other. Brought to you, of course, by AniMa W3 Studio. This is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Hopefully, you've had a wonderful, lovely, awesome week. We are just mere 2 weeks away from WrestleMania 41. Crazy to think about, especially just like to me, it just feels like WrestleMania 40 was just yesterday. But, we are heading towards the showcase of the Immortals. We got a lot of number one contenders matches coming our way in the next couple weeks, and some stories also being pushed through and all that. So, welcome to all of our returning viewers and listeners out there. But if you are new to what we do around here, hey, we're a wrestling podcast that gives you a little bit of nerdiness to it, whether that's video games, anime, manga, whatever have you. We'll make references, we'll call things as it is, and hey, we're here to also give you our honest thoughts and opinions on everything. I, of course, am one of your co-hosts, your world champion Watkins, here to give you tonight the Smackdown, beatdown, lowdown, throwdown that was our Friday nights. And as always, I am joined by usually two, but we got one tonight. One of our members sold out again to The Rock, so he has to do some Hollywood things and all that. But of course, we have the genius of the mat himself drop this box to here to help us kind of process all these stories going on and all that. So, Drop, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Like you said, we are 2 weeks away until WrestleMania. It's pretty crazy to think about because
Yeah.
if this was last year, we would already be heading into WrestleMania weekend. Tomorrow would be Stand and Deliver, and the whole WrestleMania season would officially be starting. But since it's a little bit later in the week, it's definitely gonna take some time to get used to. But as you said, there definitely is several things that we need to break down within this episode of SmackDown. When it comes to builds, when it comes to the future of potential superstars, which I definitely feel like that's going to be a heavy conversation when it comes to that. But yeah.
Oh yeah. So everybody, be sure to join in on the chat. Be sure to like the stream too. Let us know that the stream's going all well and all good and everything. And yeah, just let us know your thoughts and opinions on everything going forward with the evening. So let's start, of course, as we always do, with our headline story. This is usually the biggest talking point from the night, and we have a good talking point here tonight where we have CM Punk's favor being revealed to all of us. He finally reveals that what he wants from Paul Heyman is Paul Heyman himself at WrestleMania. Now, Punk came out, started the night, kind of getting the Chicago crowd hyped up as per the tradition now, with him being back in the wrestling sphere and being back in Chicago. And he's giving this story about like how he just doesn't belong, or like he keeps telling these stories about like how people keep telling him he's not supposed to be here and all that, like how he was born apparently with his umbilical cord around his neck. Every time he was in a wrestling company, people were like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. When he was being John Cena's chauffeur, he wasn't supposed to be here and all that. So like that seems to be the theme right now of Punk going into WrestleMania. Like, he's not supposed to be here. And if you ask somebody like Seth Rollins, he's not supposed to be in the main event. But like that's basically the through line of tonight. With our big story here. And again, CM Punk, he tells Roman Reigns to his face in the middle of the ring with Paul Heyman there, hey, my favor is to have Paul Heyman in my corner for WrestleMania. And I love how cocky Roman is at first with this, because he's like, yeah, even if I let Paul do this, he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna go with you. Like he loves me too much. And Heyman, give the man an Oscar for like crying on cue to like just emphasize that emotion going through like the inner turmoil that he's going through with choosing between the man who like I mean Roman even said it gave him relevancy again, uh choosing between him and somebody that's really near dear close to his heart, one of his best friends in this entire business, in CM Punk. I thought both these segments from the start of the show to the end of the show were really good. Even Seth's involvement, like it made sense for Seth's character because he is kind of that little shit just in the corner, just poking fun at everybody, just watching the world burn a little bit. But yeah, well, let's kind of dive into this. So, Drop, what do you think about just like everything going on tonight with like Punk, Heyman, Roman? How'd you feel about all this? And I guess like because we had talked about the favor in previous episodes of the podcast. How do you feel about like having the favor finally being revealed as it has been?
So when it comes to this, it was like a big talking point ever since it was brought up when we first got into War Games and we learned about the whole favor thing to begin with, and it felt like it definitely was going to be a thing to tie into the WrestleMania season depending on the sort of direction that Punk was going down. And we were trying to theorize what it was at first. It was either him getting the main event or it had something to do with Heyman. Obviously, it wasn't the main event because he even said that last week, so that pretty much debunked that argument.
Mhm.
And the other thing would have to be with Heyman, which we were right about. He wanted to have Heyman in his corner. And it seems like one of those scenarios where Heyman's in a tough spot again when it comes to Roman. Because this has been a thing we've talked about with Roman ever since he returned. And we were talking about the whole War Games thing of him aligning with Jay and Jimmy and all of them and looking at the past history of the things that he did and how everything isn't going to be 100% when it came to, you know, how he treated these people. So obviously they're going to look at him in a different manner. This is practically the same Roman that we've seen around that time period. He hasn't changed at all. You're even looking at how he's treating Heyman. He's very controlling. He wants to manipulate him and have him do this and that. And to me, it just seems like Punk's really trying to get him out of there so he's in a safe spot and he can do what he wants to do. Because as much as Heyman was really trying to show that, you know, he didn't really want to put himself in this predicament, but at the same time, you know, he's said many times before that he really cares about Punk considering the kind of history that they have.
Mhm.
To me, it almost seems like this is definitely going to lead into a moment where CM Punk is going. I mean, Paul Heyman is going to break away from Roman. Like you're going to see something transpire at WrestleMania when it comes to Heyman, because it just seems like one of those situations where it's like Roman really needs to learn when it comes to a lot of the stuff that he's doing. And I remember that promo that he cut at the Hall of Fame last year that I saw surface online where he says, you know, without my wise man, there's no me. And I kind of want him to venture down that route and actually learn how to discover himself,
Mhm.
because maybe that would lead into a more interesting direction with him when it comes to actually being on his own, because theoretically he does not need anybody by his side. He's established.
Right.
He can talk. It's not like he's bad at promos. It's not like the Roman all those years ago that was really struggling. I mean, he's pretty much set in stone. If he took a pinfall or submission to somebody, he'll be fine. He's bulletproof. So it's not like it's going to do any damage to Roman, because you're going to get those superstars within WWE that are pretty much like they have that armor set on them where if they take a loss in a match, whatever, they're fine and they can move on with their day. And Roman's definitely one of those people, but I really want to see him struggle when it comes to this whole entire situation that revolves around Paul. But even though this was predictable, and maybe it might be underwhelming to some people, it didn't have that effect with me, because it made sense giving the sort of signs that we're throwing at us. And we obviously know this isn't a random pairing being put together. We've seen Punk and Heyman together many years ago, and this, if anything, this is just gonna tie even deeper into the whole story with Punk and Roman down the line, because I definitely see them having some sort of like one-on-one program with each other. And obviously you incorporate Heyman into that whole entire thing, it's just going to evolve things even further. And just to give a quick shout out to Rollins, really, I mean, he was just there just to see everything come together. So having him there was just a little cherry on top. Like, he didn't really have to do anything, and I didn't expect him to. And I can't say I really wanted him to, but him being there and seeing it, come together, it just makes sense that he's like the person in the audience watching all the drama to break down. Because if anything, these two might just have so much tension between each other. It might be an opening for him to take advantage of it at WrestleMania, considering it doesn't concern him, because they obviously all have issues of each other. But if two guys are focused on each other the most, that just leaves an opening for Rollins. But yeah, those are like pretty much like my overall thoughts on everything. I like how everything's going with this, and I'm very curious just to see overall how night one's gonna end, because I can't just see it being one of those things where it's like, I won, see you guys tomorrow, press conference. Like, something big has to transpire out of that.
And part of that could be like Heyman actually helping Punk in a way, because I think we got some seeds tonight for Heyman leaving Roman. I mean, look how Roman reacted to Heyman not saying no to Punk. Like, he was showing his old signs again of like the abuse and all that shit. So, and this just harkens back to the issues I was having back during like War Games time. It's like, okay, well, we're cheering Roman. He's supposed to be a babyface, but he hasn't made any development to be a babyface. He's still the same Roman, and we're seeing that again here. He's still the same Roman Reigns. He's still the one that is cocky, the one who still thinks he's on top, the alpha male in this whole landscape of pro wrestling. It's like, you're not. And I mean, I just there's so many layers that goes in with this, from even just Rollins coming out at first before Punk being like, hey, you're the one that kind of brought him in. I'm here to kind of watch this all blow up in your face, because you think you have everything under control, but you don't. And that's what really scares you right now, is the fact that you're not in control. Punk is. Like, CM Punk has your number, and because you didn't either finish him off in War Games, you didn't let me finish him off in Madison Square Garden, he's going to keep taking advantage of you and keep taking from not only you and this company. And look what happened. Like, Punk is taking his wise man. And again, like, the whole segment I thought was really good. It really sold what was already a predictable thing, because I mean, I'm not saying it was super predictable, but that was a very popular theory pushing forward, was that, hey, Heyman's gonna end up with Punk for WrestleMania. And yeah, I feel like this really is gonna lead to just a solo Roman run, like just him alone having to rebuild what makes Roman Reigns and what is Roman Reigns. So yeah, just everything from top to bottom. And I mean, I'll applaud Seth for his actions tonight, because he's just a shit stir. He's just there. He wants to watch it burn. He wants to watch it blow up in everyone's face. And I like how he didn't get physical. Like, he let Punk and Roman do their thing, but he was just like, look, I'll fight you if you're gonna land a punch. But yeah, nah, the fact that those two restrained themselves from fighting each other was pretty dang good as well. And man, just so much good in this segment. Yeah, and I mean, the favor's fine. The favor works. Why? Because it's those mind games, those manipulative tactics that CM Punk does do, and all that. So yeah, just a really good through line for SmackDown tonight. I thought just kind of doing everything that we were expecting too. Now, I'm surprised Roman didn't mention anything about like needle mover or anything because I've been waiting for that to come up in a promo because
Yeah.
he was one of the ones that like made that comment like, oh, CM Punk's not a needle mover. Well, I mean, kind of is now. Like he kind of is. Like especially now in your company, he is. But yeah, just and also just like Roman being like, yeah, I'm the reason you're back. I'm the reason you're the main event. Like it's me. I am the person you're doing this for and through and all that. Like I just good stuff all around. Good stuff all around. Um did you have anything else you wanted to add? Because I mean, again, like I feel like there's still more to explore before we get to Mania. But like, I mean, just within like these two promos from like the beginning of the night, end of the night, the middle part where Seth appears and Heyman thinks it's Roman coming through. Like, any other thoughts about everything with the triple threat match?
Other than what we talked about, I will say that I don't think anything surrounding Rollins, because I've seen people mention that on the timeline about Rollins
Hmm.
potentially aligning with Heyman. I don't see that. That doesn't really make any sense. And if you think about it, really, walk-ins, it kind of goes against Seth's character from where he was
Yeah.
originally all those years ago, and then inserting himself back in that position again. It's almost like
Hmm.
just go back couple years ago when he was with the Authority. I mean, we don't really need to run that angle again. He doesn't really need any sort of support from people. I get it. It would be
Yeah.
some sort of twist, but realistically, it doesn't make any sense because the way I look at these matches, like I mentioned before, it's matches that takes place that ends up creating bigger feuds within the match, depending on which
Hmm.
superstar it is. And if anything, I feel like this match itself is building Punk and Roman to become something bigger down the line. But I did love everything
Yeah.
that happened here. I gotta say, when it came to the contract signing last week and this, of course, because I do know the initial thing we saw with the whole brawl and everything. Wasn't, the biggest fan of that because we didn't really get anything happening, but these past two interactions with them were really nice to see. And I recall Seth also has an appearance on Raw, so I guess that makes
Yeah.
sense now thinking about it, why he didn't talk so much, because then it'd be one of those situations where it's like, well, he talked here. So it's like today, you give the other two guys the time to shine and talk,
Hmm.
obviously say a few words here and there, but obviously Monday, that's when you really give the floor to him to speak his piece. But
Yeah.
other than that, though, that's all my thoughts on the opening, our main segment.
Yeah. Yeah, and like just to touch on the Seth possible Heyman thing. I mean, the only reason I could justify Seth taking Heyman is just to mess with Roman. But
Yeah.
like that's really the extent of it if it were it to even happen. But that's yeah, again, I don't see it happening at all.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, we'll get some more on Monday when we touch base with Rollins and probably Punk too, because Punk is a Raw star. So we'll probably hear a little bit from Punk as well if he's there. Nothing to really go off with like the WWE title match. With Cody Rhodes and John Cena. It was just a video package from what happened Monday. So if you want to hear our thoughts on that, go check out our show on Monday night that we did talking about all that. So let's jump into our mid card because they are doing a lot to build up the mid card, not only like this week on SmackDown, but in the next couple weeks because we got like some other matches going on, some number one contenders matches, and the kind of a surprise debut, or at least with like the timing of the debut with where we are in like the calendar year. Um, we're gonna start by talking about Rey Fenix making his debut. So this is actually the first actual match we get of tonight, where he takes on Nathan Frazier from NXT, which interesting opponent to start off with. Great opponent to start off with because
Yeah.
hot damn, this was a match. This was a barn burner of a match. Like There was some stuff that Rey Fenix was doing. I was like, wait, I don't remember doing that in AEW, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. You could probably change some things around here, but like, it mainly just like his tightrope stuff. Like there was one moment he was like all right, it was like Nathan Fraser was hanging on the top rope, and then Rey Fenix just like kind of walks on it, and then just like kicks him in the face. I'm just like, oh, that's so cool. That's innovative. That's using the ring to your advantage, not just like a thing to, oh, I can just bounce off the ropes like an Irish whip or like a springboard. No, it's like using the ring it to your benefit, like that's why like I love like top rope or like words escaping me again. The English language this week is not my friend. Tightrope, like those tightrope moves that some people do. So like Rey Fenix does it, The Undertaker when he did Old School, Xavier Woods when he does his elbow and all that, like, and then man, it was just a really good match. What was it? It was this one move. I need to look up what they called it, but it was where he like lifted Nathan Frazier up and basically like dropped him on his head. That looked dangerous as hell. Like I thought, at first I thought I didn't think it was like a botch, but I thought something might have gone wrong or could have gone wrong. So I'm glad nothing did go wrong. But man, this was not only a good showing for Rey Fenix, but a really good showing for Nathan Frazier being on the main roster. I mean, Axiom got a chance when they were overseas on SmackDown. So Nathan Frazier getting a shot to kind of show what he can do on the main roster. Yeah, but more of that. More of Fraxium just on the main roster. That would be amazing. Yeah, the match. Drop, what do you think of the match? Because, again, man, this was awesome.
Yeah,
To quote the crowd.
Yeah, I thought this was a really good showing for Rey Fenix's first night. And I felt like they were going to head down this direction anyway when it comes to certain opponents that they picked for him, because he's definitely going down the Penta route where he's going to, get over with the crowd organically. And he was getting some chance from the crowd within the match itself because they obviously recognize who he is. Chicago is a big place when it comes to him and Penta. There's a lot of history there with those guys. Yeah. So, you got the names already ingrained in that area. But you have somebody like Nathan Frazier, which is already good. Same thing with Fraxium. A lot of people consider them probably one of the best tag teams at this moment, and I can definitely see them getting a call-up, maybe post-Mania if they defend their titles at Stand and Deliver and lose them, or possibly in the draft. I definitely do see them on the main roster this year, and a team like that I would absolutely love to see ingrained in the tag division. But Nathan Frazier, he's really good. Seth Rollins trained him, which you could probably recognize a lot of the moves in here that he was doing, because that's how Seth Rollins is running around all those years ago, and he was a lot younger at his age, so you could definitely tell he took a lot of things from his mentor there. But if you really want to bring the best out of Rey Fenix, and you really want somebody like Nathan Frazier, which is known to be super speedy in the ring, kind of like how Braun Breaker is when he's moving around, I mean, this is the best guy to really get the most out of Fenix within the match, and they were doing a really good job showcasing Fenix's wrestling ability to the crowd for the very first time, and I enjoyed it overall. I enjoyed the presentation. I thought they did a very good job with that when it came to, all the lighting, and I just loved everything that they were doing. I'm glad that, he's able to wrestle again. He's not, restrained, not being able to do what he obviously loves to do. So it's nice to really see him in motion. And it's nice that they didn't wait super long to really bring him on here. It was only like a couple vignettes or so.
Yeah.
And then he was brought on to the main roster for SmackDown, which again, I do think that's a good decision on their end. Have him get over on his own. And then once time comes, obviously throw him and Penta together. And then you can really run things that way. And then you're already unlocking another crazy tag team in motion whenever they decide to do that. And yeah, he's getting Berto next week, which would be another great match because Escobar was really impressed by the performance. And like I
Yeah.
said, another guy to really give him a good help another dance partner for him in the ring to really put on a great match. So I'm looking forward to that next week. I thought they did a really good job. They nailed it, and I can't wait to see what else they do with them.
Oh, same here. And I think what's great too is, not only are we starting like an actual story with Rey Fenix through, Santos Escobar and the rest of Legado and all that, but I don't know if you got to catch it. There was a video up. I think it was either like on TikTok or their Instagram, a video of Rey Fenix backstage after his match, and the man is in tears. Like he's in the company he wants to be at. Like this is where he wants to be. This is the company that he wants to wrestle for, and the spotlight that he wants to have, and rightfully deserves in an aspect. And the guy's just overcome with emotion in the back, and I'm like, man, I wish you could kind of tell us how the past, I guess, year was for you. I mean, I think he had signed an NDA, so he can't really say too much about things. But like the fact that he also gave him like a post match interview too, just like they did for Penta. Like they're really treating these two guys with the utmost respect and care, and I applaud them for that. And I hope it not only continues for them, but continues later on with other people too.
Definitely.
And like you said, I mean Escobar, he expects the same kind of intensity from Berto and Garza, and I think that was just kind of a ploy to get one of them to want to fight Rey Fenix, because he went to Nick Aldis to make it official, and it's official next week. Berto versus Rey Fenix. So yeah, we'll get in there. It'll be great. I think it'll be another good showcase too for Berto, because he I mean he's been in the tag team with Angel Garza for like a while now. But I do remember him being a good talent when he was a single star. So yeah, all the more power to you. Let's get some good, fun lucha things out there and all that. No Andrade tonight either, which is also interesting, but we might have to put a little pin on that to see why that is. Great. So our next little segment here is basically everything that deals with the Bloodline. So the Bloodline, they had a couple matches tonight. They had a couple things to kind of push their own stories going forward that are, obviously away from Roman. The first segment here, LA Knight taking on Tama Tonga. I think this is more of a match to kind of not only give LA Knight a little bit of a warm up, continuing on towards WrestleMania, but I mean there's some beef between him and the Bloodline still. So yeah, let's throw him and Tama Tonga together has a fight. And I like how we get a little backstage segment too before the match of of Braun Strowman wanting to beat down like Solo and Tama, and of course LA Knight in his own little fashion comes in and just runs them both down. But the actual match, I mean, I thought it was good. I mean, you kind of know the outcome of this match going into it, because I mean, if Tama Tonga did pin LA Knight, I mean, where's his shot at the US title then at that point? But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great match throughout. Pretty standard back and forth with WWE.
Yeah.
And near the ending moments of it, I mean, Solo does try to get involved, it backfires, and yeah, LA Knight pulls out the win. Great, awesome, yeah. Anything you want to throw in there about this match, and maybe like the beginning segment too of it with everybody in the back?
Yeah, that segment was like funny in the back when he was like interacting with them, pretty much just making fun of like how they express themselves on television when it comes to what Tama Tonga typically does all the time and everything. So, that was a really fun opener to really get everything together for the match itself. But it's like you said here, LA Knight's heading into WrestleMania as United States champion. So obviously, the best thing for him to really do is to really gain that momentum heading into the event, because obviously as a champion, even though you are the champion, you want a couple reps underneath your belt. So you have, all of that heading into Mania when it comes to your title defense or if you're going for a title yourself. So this match I thought, was really good. It's nice to see Tama Tonga doing something outside of just, following Jacob or Solo around. So it was a really nice change for that. So what I am hoping is I'll get my thoughts on that in the next segment when it revolves Solo. But
Okay.
we'll talk about that
Yeah.
last man standing match.
Oh boy, the last man standing match. Yeah, this is the bigger talking point when it comes to the Bloodline tonight. Again, separate from Roman and all that. Braun Strowman taking on Jacob Fatu in a #1 contenders match for the U.S. title. Last man standing match.
Yeah.
I thought this was awesome.
Yeah.
It was the right amount of carnage it needed to be. And also, I hope Braun's okay. I was talking about this with with my wrestling group chat a little bit, and Braun's kind of gotten slower in the last year or so.
You can't do that train thing anymore.
I know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't do the Strowman Express anymore.
Yeah, I mean he did it good tonight. When he put Jacob Fatu through that barricade, that was at a really good speed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean beyond that, I mean I don't know if it's because of that groin injury he had not too long ago. But yeah, he's just kind of not as mobile as he used to be, which on one hand kind of sucks. But I mean, he's still able to pull out power moves and able to still dish out some sort of punishment. So it's still good. It's just one of those things where it's like, all right, it's kind of noticeable, dude. Yeah, but they went around the whole ring, they went around the whole arena and all that. They just beat the shit out of each other, and I was all here for it. Especially hoping the man, the myth, the legend known as Jacob Fatu won, which he did. Oh, it was great. I was so happy, especially after, what happened before this, with Kevin, which we'll mention here later on. But yeah, I'm happy Jacob won, and it kind of makes me see where we might be going with Mania. I think we're still gonna get the singles match between him and LA Knight.
Yeah.
It seems to me they might be holding off with the solo match until Backlash.
That's what I'm hoping.
Because I think once Jacob wins the title, it's going to be another one of those things that we saw with the tag title, for example, where Solo was just yeah, give me that title that you won. I'm going to give it to Tonga Loa now, and him and Tama Tonga are going to be the tag team, not you, Jacob. You were just a sit-in. Give the title to Tonga. Come on, he's the GOAT after all. Just give it to him. Yeah, man, what'd you think of this match, man? It was it was just so brutal. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, I thought this match was really good because it was honestly the perfect match really to just put a hold on this feud between the both of them, because they've been butting heads for quite some time now, ever since that Saturday night's main event. So it's nice to have them in a match like this to really throw everything together, because when it comes to last man standing match, you can go whatever you want. You don't have to worry about pinning somebody, you don't have to worry about submitting somebody. You can cause as much destruction as you possibly can, so you could put an end to your opponent so they can't get up for that 10 count. You can put them through tables, hit them with weapons, do whatever you possibly can to really nail it in the coffin, kind of like what Roman did all those years ago, where he just put the announce table on Brock. Even if it comes to that point, you really just want to keep somebody down. I mean, that's how you really work around those sort of things. But it was actually really interesting how they did this, because when it came to the #1 contenders spot for this, I don't, at least in the back of my head, I don't recall them doing anything like this in recent memory when it comes to the new era that we're currently in right now. Maybe something happened all those years ago, but a very interesting concept to crown a #1 contender with the last man standing. I thought that was pretty unique, because normally it's a regular match, but the fact that it's a match like this, I thought it was really cool. And the whole match was awesome. I mean, you really want to see these guys tear each other to shreds. I mean, hey, here you go. But I'm leaning towards what you said, and I'm glad that we're doing this, because We talked about the possibility of a multi-man match coming out of this. I'm happy it didn't happen because, okay, you could do that with the other title, but try to keep it a little bit different so it's not always the same thing. And yeah, like Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, I think it's going to stay as a singles. I don't really want Solo getting involved in this because he hasn't really earned anything to get there. And honestly, they're in the process of building up Jacob Fatu. And I mean, if you really want to give him a moment, give it at Mania, and then you could do something with him and Solo at Backlash, which would, make sense there. And then probably from that point, they could just move on to whatever plans they have for Jacob Fatu next. And that's what I'm hoping for, because we thought it was going to be a Jacob and Solo thing originally. Doesn't seem like that's a direction anymore, and I don't really see why Solo would just randomly get added to this just out of the blue. Really doesn't do anything, really, because in LA Knight's case, he's going up against like the ultimate boss, which I kind of look at Jacob Fatu at this current iteration of the Bloodline, because we already seen him with Tonga a lot. We already seen him with Solo Sikoa a lot. We haven't really seen him with like Jacob Fatu having a match like this with a title on the line. And it's definitely WrestleMania worthy when you come to the star power between both of these guys. Like if you told me, oh yeah, LA Knight's taking on Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania, I'd be like, okay, that's a WrestleMania match. I can get behind that. It's a match that would definitely bring the best out of him, because you got Jacob Fatu, really tough guy, hard to take down. LA Knight as the babyface, one of the things you typically do as a babyface, you gotta climb the mountain when you go up against these heels. Yep. And the heel's job mainly is to make it seem like it's impossible for you to win the fight. And I feel like Jacob Fatu could definitely bring out another side of LA Knight here to, really show how far he's willing to go. And I feel like this really benefits both guys if you think about it, because you got Jacob Fatu getting a title. He can add some legitimacy to it, which I definitely believe we could get that with the US title, which is definitely needed. And LA Knight, I mean, what have we been saying for months now? You could easily transition him to the world title scene, and maybe early Rumble prediction. I know I said Sammy, but I mean, Rumble's in Saudi next year. The Saudis love LA Knight. I can't say I wouldn't be supposed if LA Knight getting a world title shot at WrestleMania next year. I want to see the guy in a main event picture. He deserves it. I'm sorry. He needs
He does.
He needs
like more than he got the last time, because like the last time it was really just to like kind of elevate him. Like he wasn't beating Roman at that point. Like I'm sorry, I don't care who you were. Like I'm a big LA Knight fan. Even I knew he wasn't gonna win that night.
Yeah, same.
It was more just to boost him up and to show that he is
definitely did
main event caliber. And he did. Like mission accomplished. Now let's just put him back in that main event picture and all that. It could be against Cody or John, whoever wins that one, or it could be against Jay. Like, put him in that spot, let him shine for a bit. Maybe hold on to that world title. That would be something cool too, and all that. And I think my other note with this match, I love how commentary were selling this, because it wasn't just like any other last man standing match. This is a last man standing match with Braun Strowman, who apparently has never lost a last man standing match in like 9 years since he's been on the roster. That's a big deal. They gave Jacob Fatu that rub right there. That's big. That is huge. So they expect some good things from Jacob Fatu moving forward, and I'm excited for it. I can't wait. I love the band. Just let him have that title for as long as humanly possible.
Yep. And then obviously whenever his time comes too, we're going to be preaching the same thing we're doing with LA Knight when it comes to him potentially being a future world champion. But I really like how things are laid out here. I think one-on-one match suits it best, because like I said, I'm not against the multi-man stuff if it makes sense and everything, but there's always that part of me where I just love seeing two guys go at it in the ring, really fighting for that title that they just want so bad. I mean, you got Shawn and Brett all those years ago had an Iron Man match, and then he ended up having to do what was it? They ended up having to do a shit, what's the name of it when the clock runs out?
Oh, are you talking about
Sudden death. Sudden death.
uh, like
It's like a
are you talking
sudden.
about the like an Iron Man match or something?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, because I remember they had an Iron Man match all those years
yeah,
ago for the WWF title, and then the clock ran out, and I
yeah,
think it was like sudden death. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yep,
so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, just let the guys go loose, just let them show what they
yeah.
need to do, so they can really get behind the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Like let them have a Rey Fenix Nathan Fraser match because yeah, they let them go at it
Yeah,
and let the rest of your talent do it,
could be a
especially
show
at Mania.
stealer. Could be a show stealer. I
It
don't know.
it could be, it could be a moment stealer because everybody seems to love Jacob Fatu as they should
Oh
because
yeah,
the man has some great charisma towards him. So yeah, again, great match. Loved how we're moving forward with everything. And yeah, US title picture looks pretty secured now. So let's move on ahead. We have Naomi taking on B-Fab tonight. Now, this was set up because I believe it was last week or the week before where Naomi came out to. It was last week. No, yeah, I don't. Anyways, that's besides the point. Naomi came out to attack both B-Fab and Michin before a match that Michin had with Charlotte. And this kind of set up this match because, hey, B-Fab didn't really take kindly to that. So, yeah, they have a match, but before the match, Jade comes out and just destroys Naomi before it. But, I mean, Naomi's able to push through and still beat B-Fab. And they have another fight at the end of the match. Nick Aldis comes out and makes it official for WrestleMania. Now, I looked this up too. There was a tweet about this. This is the first women's match that's not for a title in 19 years at WrestleMania. That is a crazy stat. If it's actually true, I'd have to go fact check it. But if it is true, that's crazy to think about. And so they'll be making some history at WrestleMania, which is great.
yeah.
Um, I don't think we needed this match though. Like I get
No,
why we had it, but I mean this is just another loss for B-Fab, which kind of sucks on her end. Because like
yeah.
her and Meechin both are just like eating loss after loss after loss. It's like, all right, we gotta kind of start building them up, start actually doing something with them, except for just showing them on TV every now and then. But this was mainly just to kind of push the Naomi Jade feud, which yeah, you guys pushed it, you made it official, and this is a match I'm really looking forward to in a couple weeks. But what do you think of this whole? I'm just gonna call this a segment because I mean the match really
Yeah.
wasn't much of anything to write home about. But what do you think of this segment?
I would have to agree with you, honestly. Like, there really wasn't anything to, walk away with when it comes to this match because, I mean, the way you look at it, it's like we talked about before, you have that current beef going on with Naomi and Jade at the moment. And you obviously know whenever Naomi's out there, regardless if Jade shows up or not, she's always gonna have eyes in the back of her head to really watch out whenever Jade's gonna come out, either sneak attack her or just pretty much come out straight up and just attack her as a whole because of all of the drama that really transpired between the both of them. But even
Yeah.
after the attack itself, like when Naomi was making her entrance, Jade attacked her, she did her thing, she went in, she got the job done. I mean, it doesn't really do anything for B-Fab in a sense. It's just like, okay,
Yeah.
Naomi got a little momentum under her belt, which is needed heading into this match against Jade. I mean, that's all it really was at the end of the day. But I am glad that we are getting this match. And I might be the odd one out, maybe, when I say this, though, but I really like this new character change for Naomi.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that's not why I said that.
Mhm.
But it's mainly because I like this whole character change so much. I kind of want her to win at WrestleMania. That's why I said I might be the odd one out when I say that, because there is some people out there that think Jade should win, which I get because it could be a momentum boost for her to really bring her somewhere else. But it's like at the same time, I'm in the same ballpark as you were with KO, which we'll talk about later when it came to him being right about the whole Cody situation. I mean, I can't really
Yeah.
I can't really get mad at Naomi for making the decisions that she's done. and I just really think she needs this to really boost herself up to the next level. And I just loved her new look, you know, how she's presenting herself, that whole promo that she had last week. Like, it just goes to show that, you know, when you give the girl the chance to shine, she can shine. Like, no pun intended. But it's like, you know, she could really put things together in motion, and I could really see things heading in a good direction for her in the future if she, you know, takes where she is now and then extends even further beyond that. But, you know, just overall, like, I don't know, I'm just really loving what they're doing Naomi right now. She's doing great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at that shout. Like, if Naomi went over at Mania, all right, that just means we can continue not the food, the feud moving forward. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that either. But I feel like this will go to Backlash.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of those feuds that they could definitely push a little further as
Oh
well.
yeah.
So whether Jade wins or Naomi wins, I think either way, we as the fans are gonna win because
Yeah.
this story is really good. If anything, this story's kind of got a little bit more heat than the women's title. You know, like as much as we wanted the Tiffany Charlotte thing,
Oof.
that's working out as good as my parents' dogs with our cat. You know, that's working out really good. No, it doesn't work out. They like to bark at that little guy. When he just comes up, he just wants his food. He just wants to play. He just wants to rub up on y'all. But no, the little shits up there just want to bark at him and all that. But that's neither here nor there with that. Yep, looking forward to the match. Glad it's finally got announced, made official and everything. So great, awesome. Thank you for being a good GM, Nick Aldis. Let's move on now. We got to figure out who's going to be facing the Street Profits at WrestleMania. So we have a tag team title #1 contenders match now between DIY and Motor City Machine Guns. So, you know, first of all, great back and forth tag team action between the two teams. They really know each other and all that. So, great match between the two. The biggest crux for like the latter half the latter half of this match was Johnny Gargano continuing to block the Skull and Bones finisher of Motor City Machine Guns. Him constantly trying to like knock what's his face off. I think it's Alex Shelley. Keep knocking him off of the apron and all that, and just making sure it doesn't happen and all that. But unfortunately for DIY, who tried to cheat too, that ripped exposed turnbuckle was their downfall because Ciampa just runs into it and eats a roll-up pin for Motor City Machine Guns to go on to face the Street Profits at WrestleMania. So there's not too much story going on because like the whole big crux of the WWE tag team titles just in the past few months is really just the tag teams all wanting a shot at the gold basically at the same time. And I mean, we had made theories about like, oh, this tag team scene is going to be looking like a multi-man kind of thing or like a multi-team kind of thing, which it could maybe still lead into. I don't know how they would get around that. But I mean, as it stands right now, Street Profits versus Motor City Machine Guns. Yes, please. Yes, please inject that into my veins. Please, good sirs. It will be great. It will be awesome. It will be fantastic. Yeah, I'm just curious if DIY try to insert themselves in all this because, like, we know the Garzas aren't because they're focused on freaking Rey Fenix.
Yeah.
Pretty Deadly are focused on getting their musical out and all that. So they're pretty much done with the tag titles. Plus, they just got their shot against the Street Profits and failed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, DIY could probably find a way to insert themselves, but yeah, what do you think of the match and just like I guess the reasoning behind us getting, or I guess not reasoning, I guess just us getting a #1 contender for the tag titles.
So I thought the match was good. I mean, you have like two top tag teams within the SmackDown division in this match, so I can't really say that I don't want to see them ever participating in tag team action. It's always a good sight to see. And just going off to your point right there, I mean, I can definitely see this turning into like a triple threat tag match or whatever sort of plans they have in the cards, because, you know, Street Profits are the champions. Obviously, they already have their golden ticket to Mania. Motor City Machine Guns pretty much got their golden ticket right here, being the #1 contenders. And I can't really see them leaving DIY off the card, because it seems like the story is like centered around the three of those teams. Because if you go back to the Royal Rumble when they had that match, it was like the 2 out of 3 falls match between DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns. Normally, when you start building a lot of WrestleMania builds, it happens around the Royal Rumble when you're trying to tease all of these feuds, like outside of things that was in development, like, you know, months prior, like the whole Randy and KO thing, which obviously we'll touch on later. But I was just using it as an example from like builds that we've seen that happen in advance. But it's like you saw the Street Profits return there, and they took action, and then they finally were able to reclaim their titles again. And then you got Motor City Machine Guns in the mix. So it's like you kind of have to throw DIY in there to really end that chapter off with the three of those guys before the Street Profits move on to something else when it comes to, you know, whatever other opponents are in their way for the tag team titles. So I can definitely see that coming together. Maybe we find that out next week. I would hope at the very least next week, because I don't really think it makes any sense in the slightest to really announce a match at like the Friday before WrestleMania. So it kind of seems like whatever you have left on the card has to be announced on Monday and on Friday, because we only have 2 SmackDowns left, just like we have 2 Raws left before WrestleMania. So yeah, the deadline is next week, because
and that final SmackDown is basically a pre-show for WrestleMania.
Yeah, like, pretty much. Sometimes because it has like essentially, you know, people who don't get on the card, they have a little special moment there, and then obviously those last like builds to like whatever major matches they have with like CM Punk, Seth, Roman, or Cody, whatever he's doing. That's definitely something I do want to touch on probably next week when it comes to the whole Cody thing. Nothing against him, it's just where's John now? But anyways, yeah, I thought this match was good. Yeah, and I am curious to see how this is gonna turn out next week. I'm gonna say next week is the deadline for this, though, to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think, you know, DIY kind of do need to be inserted in this in a way, because a lot of this just stemmed from them even beforehand too, like with Street Profits getting taken out. Because if you remember, when Motor City Machine Guns were tag team champions, the Street Profits were supposed to face them for the titles, and that's when they got taken out by DIY. Yeah. So, you know, we're kind of coming full circle with all this, except now the titles are in the Street Profits' hands, and it's up to Motor City Machine Guns to get them now. So, nice, interesting change in dynamic between then and now, which applaud. I can applaud something like
pretty
that.
Interesting how the three of those. Pretty interesting how the 3 of those teams all had those tag titles within like that sequence of months.
Oh man, that's so cool. That's so cool. I like that. I dig things like that. Yeah. But speaking of digging, let's dig a couple holes, shall we? Because we gotta continue building this WWE Women's Championship match between Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. And what's better than a sit-down split-screen interview that looks like a Zoom call with people? Yeah, really. Well, the only thing better than that is to have an actual legitimate face-to-face interaction. Great, awesome. Let's do all that. And okay, there were some aspects of this I liked. Yeah, mainly the first half. Yeah, like the first half was fine, I thought, but then it gets a little weird. Like there's this. I don't know when it clicked. I think it was like a little bit after Tiffany's promo went off. Something just. Oh, I know exactly what it was. It was when Charlotte started doing this thing where she's like trying to make fun of Tiffany Stratton and how she talks by
And
being like making these weird
I thought that
squeaky
was cringe. I
sounds.
thought that was cringe.
Oh, dude, it was horrible. And then like she goes on, she's like, oh, where was it? I wrote it in our notes here. Oh, she calls herself the Nepo Queen. So like instead of like a Nepo baby, she's the Nepo Queen.
Yeah.
And like she's trying to be like, oh, this is power. This is that amazing thing that kids like to call aura now. Like with the crowd, trying to play up the crowd a little bit, but they are not having any of it. And Tiffany Stratton with her best Montequilla um reference there, just making the crowd be like, it's Tiffy time. Like she had the crowd in the palm of her hand, unlike Charlotte, who was trying hard to get them, and like Tiffany used that as fuel, which I really liked there.
Mm.
And yeah, then some awkward things were said about how like Charlotte's 0 for 3 in her marriages, and then Charlotte got the last word in. She got the last word in by saying that Kaiser was in her DMs. Okay, yeah, once the squeaky noise uh once that started happening with her trying to um mock Tiffany Stratton, oh boy, that's when all this stuff just fell apart. Like Tiffany at least looked better. She looked
Yeah,
better this week
I will say
and
that.
more. Yeah, she was more prepared, I thought, and she was a little bit better with like delivering her promos and what she had to say and all that. Whereas like Charlotte kept trying to push her to do more, I guess, or to like bite a little harder. But I mean, hey, if that's the case, you got bit pretty hard, lady. Like you got bit pretty hard tonight. Um yeah, I mean, again, it's like half of this was good. Half of this was just like, what the hell are y'all doing? Like, do you guys need to kind of
Yeah.
talk to somebody? Do you need to talk to HR to see what's going on? I don't
Uh,
know. What what do you think about this?
I'm actually looking up the quotes so we could actually
Okay, good.
talk about
Yeah,
this because
please do. Please do.
yeah, so let me see. I will, I don't know if there's a way I can send it to, I could send it to you through
Mhm.
our group chat on X,
Yeah.
and then you just scroll down to the whole Tiffany thing just so you have it on as a reference. But
Yeah, I'll get
let's
it up.
see. Where were the things that are called? Oh yeah. Where is it? Oh yeah, so before I get into the quotes here, because I do want to read it because it was really interesting to hear the things that they were saying. Um, I did enjoy certain parts of this segment. I wouldn't say this segment was like a banger by any means because it definitely wasn't.
Mhm.
But I do appreciate that they allowed Tiffany to get some sort of shine here. And one of the things I did notice before we get into it itself is the things that she was saying. And I noticed there was some discourse online when it came to the things that Tiffany was saying towards Charlotte when it came to the certain, actually, you know what, we might as well get into it really just to give you guys a better understanding. So essentially, like how you saw the promo start off, like you could tell that the crowd was really getting to Charlotte. And this isn't something that Charlotte is like, usually Charlotte's used to this sort of atmosphere that she's in where it's like the crowd's booing and everything. But if you notice throughout the segment, like they probably had like a certain script that they needed to follow, but she kept like freezing, almost like she was like shocked when it came to the sort of reaction she was getting, where she kept stumbling her words. She didn't really need to follow through. And that's why things went off script. And you could tell because they were really hitting each other back and forth over and over and over again. And I was starting to think, it's like, okay, where is this stemming from? And I think it could be like that whole segment that took place with the whole Zoom call that we saw when Charlotte was saying all those things. And it's like we mentioned before, it's like you can only say so many things towards somebody like that before they want to strike back and say something in return. And it could also stem from the whole back and forth that they had on Twitter as well, where they were going back and forth at each other and everything. But there's a famous quote, and I might ask you exactly what that quote is, but it's like I forgot like how the quote was. Is like, it's like when you meet your heroes, you don't know who they really are. If you get the quote I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah, it's really just like never meet your heroes.
Yeah, because it's like you would think essentially like, okay, I'm meeting my hero, they're super awesome, and that's essentially what the whole story is. Yeah, because that was essentially what the whole story was with Tiffany when she first came out and said that, you know, you inspired me to be here, to do this and that. And now looking at anything now, it kind of seems like Tiffany really found out who Charlotte is behind the scenes when it comes to whatever sort of relationship that she had. But one of the things that did stand out to me that Tiffany said was, she said that Charlotte's biggest competitor has been her fans no matter what. And it's a fight that Charlotte would never win. And she could pretend that it doesn't bother her at all. But in reality, that's what it is. And if you think about that, honestly, there's a lot of truth to that. Because if you look at how she's been pushed over the years when it comes to title after title, or just being put into positions, kind of like how Roman was all of those years ago, where Roman was just put into a lot of these predicaments that a lot of people didn't want to see him in. That's how it was with Charlotte in a way, because she was Ric Flair's daughter, so she needed to be at the highest pedestal so she could get all of the treatment that, you know, whatever Vince wanted to do with her around the time. And that stems from the crowd. And that's why you look when she came back, when she won the Royal Rumble and she was on that Monday Night Raw episode, you know, she thought she was going to come out there, she was going to, you know, pretty much hug the fans saying, you know, I'm back, I've been injured for so long, I'm glad I'm here for all you guys, you know, having a little celebration moment. But then you look at what Tiffany said, you look at their whole sort of reaction that happened that night. Boo, boo, boo. And to me, it's not, at least now, it doesn't seem like those regular boos that heels get. So I honestly think, and it's nothing against her because I have nothing against Charlotte, but it honestly seems to me it could be go away heat.
In a way, because here's the thing with Charlotte, and we've said this before too. It's just like half the time she feels like she doesn't want to be there.
Yeah,
you know, like she keeps saying like in these interviews, yeah, I'm so happy to be back. I'm like ready to like put in work and all this stuff. But it's like you say that, but there's something in me that just doesn't want to believe that. But then I'll also see you work and all that, and then I can see, okay, this looks like you don't give a shit about being here, or you are still terrified that you might get injured again. And the reason I say that is because like I remember saying something very similar. I forgot who I said it about, but they were in a match working almost like this. And it was almost to a point where it's like, do you not want to bump? Do you not want to do a move? Like what's going on? Like you're not the same person at all. And I mean that's even beyond the plastic surgery stuff. And you know I've tried to stray away from that, but it's just like this is not my Charlotte Flair. This just like is not the Charlotte Flair that I not only grew accustomed to, but like I liked, you know, like so, there's something like really just completely fake about this one. And I mean the whole time tonight, just about the whole time tonight, she's just smiling nonstop, and it's like, dude, first of all, you're not a baby face.
No, like
Second of all, yeah, you just come off very fake.
Yeah. It's like the best thing you could do if you're getting all of this heat, if it's regular boos from people or if it's go away heat, you gotta absorb it and just head down that direction and just play that character. And it's weird too, because it's like she taps into it, but then she taps away from it, and then she taps into it again, and then she taps away from it. It's almost like, you know, you obviously know how the crowd feels about you in this storyline with Tiffany when it comes to the feud that you're in. Just play the heel. It works better. In my honest opinion, she just works better as a heel, the way that she comes off and the way that her character is. You think of a queen. You know, the queen wants everything. The queen wants all the gold. She wants all the titles, in a sense, for WWE. Play off of that character as a queen. It just makes a lot more sense in that department. And that's why it takes it away, because it's like, who do you really want to be? It's like you're playing a movie role. You got to play a certain character. You can't be the good guy. You're the villain of this movie. You can't show any characteristics of smiling, winking, throwing, you know, waving to people in the crowd or whatever. Like, you got to really, like, play that character that the crowd is projecting you as, because that's honestly the best thing she could really do in this situation. And the main reason why I brought up the quotes is because you could tell they were trying to follow what they were coming out there to do originally. But then I think things really started kicking into gear outside. Because the thing that I mentioned before, what Tiffany said, I feel like what she said about Charlotte and the crowd, I feel like that was a part of the script, because that essentially plays into the role as like the sort of heel character. People don't want to see you get the big one again. People want other people to achieve bigger things when it comes to all these upcoming stars. I felt like when it was in that territory, you were blending reality to how people actually see that. But also that felt like something that you could easily throw into the script. Went over at both parties. It was okay to say. But I think when things really start kicking into gear is when Charlotte tells Tiffany that she could have the last word, because like I mentioned before, she was stuttering, she was freezing, the crowd was too much for her, she didn't really know what to do. And then Tiffany says, you know, when she was 25 years old, you know, looking at Charlotte, she was trying to be a volleyball player, drinking in her daddy's basement. Obviously, you know, that's not like a super crazy line, like, especially when we get into later things. But it's like, you know, it essentially seems like, okay, now we're tapping into uncharted territory when it comes to going off the script a little bit. And then saying, okay, when I was at 25 years old, you know, I'm walking into WrestleMania as the WWE Women's Champion. Big achievement on her end, first WrestleMania, okay. And then she, you know, brings up her whole record, how she's 4-3. Okay, you know, that's essentially, you know, still sticking to it. But then she says, you know, she's not the queen of shit. Okay, still sticking with that. But then the whole thing where Tiffany calls her a Nepo baby, like you mentioned before, and then she says she's a Nepo queen. Okay, I guess in a way that was a good comeback to really throw towards Tiffany in a sense. But it's like when you start getting into this, where this is where it got a laugh out of me. Not in a laugh in a way where I'm like laughing at Charlotte, but it just one of those moments where it's like you see something on TV, it's like, holy shit, did that actually happen? Is when she's like, when she beats Charlotte at Mania, she's going to be outside of the ring alone, just like how she is now, where her record is 0-3, obviously referencing Charlotte's marriages when it comes to divorces. And then she does a woo, and she throws her mic on the ground, and then that's when Charlotte brought up that whole comment about why is Kaiser in her DMs. And it's like, okay, that
was just so awkward.
It was so awkward. And you could just tell straight off the bat that something was really eating up Tiffany inside. And I don't know if it's one of those things where it's like something happened behind the scenes, because we don't know what the fuck happens behind the scenes. We watch whatever happens on a Monday, Tuesday, a Wednesday when it comes to AEW, Friday for SmackDown, or whatever PLEs or pay-per-views happen on the weekends. We don't know if something happened behind the scenes, but you gotta think that something really was getting under both of their skins to really go off the script and really say things to one another, because this wouldn't just come out just like that. Because obviously you have material to work with when you originally go out there. You wouldn't just have this happen right off the bat. Like, obviously, that there's got to be, I wouldn't be surprised if we come on Grappling with a Week next week, got a whole report about this, of what happened behind the scenes, what led up to this and anything, because I'm very curious to see how this happened, but it's crazy. And like the squeaky sounds
Yeah.
like we brought it before. I did not like that. I'm sorry. That turned
God damn.
that turned me off so much.
I actively wanted to turn off my
Yeah,
TV.
that
at
wasn't even a
point.
good
Like
comeback.
it wasn't at all. Like it went from, okay, this is kind of a scripted promo kind of thing. It went from that to just childish, like
Yeah.
playground shit. And I'm sitting here like, you two are much better than this.
Yeah, I don't
So-
even think your voice
or
is bad.
I shouldn't lump Tiffany into that, because I mean,
Yeah.
she's getting better, you know. Especially with the babyface promos. I'm sorry, the babyface promos do not have the same bite.
No.
Y'all need to like give her a little bit more sass with it all. Which I
Yeah.
mean, tonight was a start with it.
Yeah, that's honestly the
but-
best we've seen her on the main roster so far, based on
Mhm.
like really hitting it where it hurts.
Yeah. But yeah, with Charlotte, it's just very amateur-esque. Like,
Yeah.
instead of trying to be better, it's just, let me just try to go for dumb shit, I guess. You know, I don't know, but hopefully, I mean, we basically have one more SmackDown left to build. Because again, the final SmackDown, that go home show, it's a glorified pre-show for WrestleMania. So yeah, we got one more build before we can like fully talk about all this.
Yeah, that's gonna be an depending on what night this match takes place, it's going to be a very interesting match to talk about. And I was even talking about this with one of my friends as I was watching it. I wouldn't be surprised if they work stiff in this match just because of what transpired tonight.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't either. Like the harder the better. That's what I'm gonna say there. But yeah, we'll have more to kind of dive into, hopefully after next week and when we do our WrestleMania special and all that. So one thing that was on everybody's minds, there was a report going around since about last night, that there was a WrestleMania match that was possibly going to be up in the air now because there was an undisclosed injury from a certain superstar. Well, we found out who the superstar was. It was Kevin Owens, and we were going to hear the future of that tonight on SmackDown, which we did after Nick Aldis asked Kevin to come out. Kevin basically tells us that he needs to go get neck surgery, and it's something that's been bothering him for, gosh, I guess he said 4 months, but that's like the beginning of the year and all that. So he's been doing like that ladder match with Cody, that no holds barred match with Sami Zayn. Like, those were two very physical matches with like big bumps too that he took. And yeah, he has to go in for surgery now. He's gonna miss WrestleMania. He doesn't know when he's gonna be back, and it's just like, man, this just really sucks, because he was in such a great program with Randy. He was about to get his face kicked in and all that. Like, it just sucks. And the fact that we're not gonna know when he's coming back, or even if, because like neck surgeries are they're kind of very common for one in like the wrestling aspect, but you hate to see it with a top talent though, because like, again, he's gonna be gone for quite a long time. How do you feel about this news? Because I'm not gonna lie, this hurt my heart. This hurt my heart very much.
Yeah, this definitely caught me off guard, because it's like I've been enjoying everything that Kevin Owens has been doing, ever since he's really turned into like, this more realism version of Kevin Owens when it comes to, I'm doing this because so and so, and he obviously has valid reasons behind it for us to really get hooked to, which is why I, gave it a shout out in the show earlier when we were talking about it, because he's been doing some of his best work that we've seen in quite some time. And I've always been a fan of him, but when it comes to his like more recent stuff with his involvement with Cody and everything beyond that, he was doing so good. I loved it. Like the story, the matches, it's just everything was great. Even like when he had, even looking at stuff beyond that big moment he had with Sammy winning the tag titles, stuff that happened where he main events one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin. He main evented a Mania off of that. I mean, he's like the true MVP when it comes to a lot of these situations. So when he came out and he said he wasn't able to make his match because of the neck injury, I at first didn't even think it was a neck injury. I thought it had something to do with like a foot
I didn't
or like
either.
an ankle, because I do recall seeing him limping a little bit, because that's what I thought it was, something with the leg. So that's what I was originally thinking. He came out there and said his neck. I was like, holy shit, because that's either I come back or I
Or
retire right here,
Yeah.
because that's a serious injury. You don't normally see a lot of people come back. I mean, the only exceptions really have, I mean, Edge came back after so many years, and people thought
Yeah.
that was never going to happen. We obviously saw what happened with Big E, and I'm pretty sure there's another name I'm not thinking of that came back from a neck injury. That's
Paige.
yeah,
Like
Paige.
Saraya.
Yeah, Paige.
Daniel Bryan's thing was more concussion based, so his wasn't really like the neck.
Yeah,
There are probably a couple others too with it.
Yeah.
The other thing though with KO, like if he is forced to retire after it, his last match was against Sami Zayn.
poetic.
Yeah, like
And it
I
was
mean,
one
not
hell
not
of a
to be like
fucking
that.
match. Oh, I know. I'm just saying.
Oh hell yeah!
I'm just
Yeah,
saying, if that
but
is
yeah,
his
it's just
last
like,
match,
yeah.
I mean, he went out for bang. I'll say that.
Very poetic. Oh my god, yes. Like, oh man, yeah. Just we wish for a speedy recovery. As a
Definitely.
big Kevin Owens fan, get your surgery. Hopefully you get well soon with it. Hopefully everything goes well with it,
I
and
hope
you just
so.
come back to our screens and again get your face kicked in by Randy Orton. Which I'm glad when Randy came out, they didn't really do too much
Yeah.
with the two. Like there wasn't like a big promo thing or
Yeah.
anything like that.
He just
It was
gave him a head
basically just
nod, right?
yeah, it was just like a head nod and all that. So like I feel like that was just for like the camera purposes, but
Yeah.
I'm sure they said something backstage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Nick Aldis is in the ring. He tells Randy he doesn't have a WrestleMania match at the moment, and Randy pays off the rest of that fine he did for like months ago when he RKO'd Nick Aldis. He RKO'd Nick Aldis again. So I don't know where Randy goes for WrestleMania, because like apparently there are still plans for him to be at the show.
Yeah.
I don't know who he goes for. Does
Yeah.
he issue like an open challenge, and that's how we get
Yeah.
like Aleister Black back?
Yeah, I saw that
Or
being-
I mean or I mean he did RKO Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis used to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
Maybe just kind of throw something in there. I mean, it's going to be tough because you only have 2 weeks to build for it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I feel like they could do something. They could probably do something.
Yeah, because like there's a couple things that I could see him potentially doing. Like obviously, they didn't know this was gonna happen. This wasn't a planned event, so obviously this was his match. But unfortunately, because of serious circumstances, of course, things had to head down this direction, which is definitely understandable. And I wish the best for KO, because it just sucks to hear that he's gonna be out, especially with an injury like that. That's just you gotta hope and pray he's able to come back, get that big pop that he deserves. Obviously, take your time.
Yeah.
Don't jump into the fishbowl right away with all the rest of the guys. But obviously, properly pace yourself, and then you can eventually get to where you need to be again. But with like Randy's case, I mean, it could potentially be Nick Aldis, because at least when it comes to sort of history that these guys have, it's not like it's came out of left field, because you're playing off of that other fine, because he arcaded him before, and then he said he's gonna have some money there when the next time it happens, and then it hasn't happened in like 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And now
So.
and now he doesn't have to worry about the fine because it's already paid off. So if you want to, you could lead into that, but also you could look at it as a typical Randy thing that he does, where he just RKOs people. That's just in his nature. That's just in the character. but that could be a proper direction. And then the other thing that I mentioned earlier that I could possibly see him do if it's not a match is he could get some involvement with Cody, only if he was there as like some sort of backup with Cody when it comes to being in his corner, when it comes to everything going on with John, because you got John, The Rock, Travis Scott, whatever the fuck else Rock has behind the scenes, because you saw last year at Rock, he was pulling a lot of shenanigans, the Bloodline rules, so you obviously know since he's a part of the board, and that match between him and Cody takes place, he's obviously going, I would assume he would be present in that match, and he would probably try to dictate it so certain things can happen, so Cody's not really able to walk away scot-free this time. And since you already have that sort of thing being teased with him and Cody last week, you could at least start that where it's like, you know, you got that little friendship thing going with him and Cody. There doesn't really have to be any insults or any teases or anything, but at least having Cody walk in there so it's not a one-man army against these three other guys. At least give him something that makes sense that he could do. If it's not a match, it would make sense story-wise to insert him in that. Other than that, besides a Nick Aldis or any sort of like Cody involvement there to really be there for him and then branch off of that, because there was some building ground. I don't really know. Like, I would say Aleister Black, but at the same time, it's like, do you really want Aleister Black taking a loss? Because you also got to look at Randy Orton as somebody who needs momentum, especially if you're heading into that match at Backlash, which is taking place in St. Louis. So, because you would think once Malachi comes back, he's going to be protected for a little bit. He's going to win a lot of matches and then really kick things into gear. Because I really do believe he's going to get the push that Triple H wanted to give him all of those years ago. He's going to get that special treatment that he wanted to do with him. And then he doesn't have to worry about Vince being here anymore, dictating the whole entire thing. Like, he could actually do what he wants to do. And I do truly believe he's going to be a main eventer. I definitely believe that's the end goal. He's going to get him to where he needs to be. Because to me, he's a main eventer. He's a main event guy. I want to see whatever those plans were take place with him. So it's like, I don't know if I would really do the Malachi thing. Would I be against the match happening? No. But that's the only thing I really think with Randy, either Nick Aldis or like something with Cody. And you never know, essentially. Let's say something happens within that WrestleMania match. And let's say by a chance you got Cody winning. And then maybe something happens between Cody and Randy and John in that match. Maybe you could do John and Randy actually, the way you look at it, really, you could do John and Randy at that Backlash for a title or without a title. Essentially, either it's like he does something in that match that pisses him off because Cena doesn't win, or Cena wins and then Randy may want to call a shot at John, considering there's really no one else there to really work with him. And obviously those two guys have history already, so you could easily do something with that at Backlash, because Randy's obviously going to have a highlight there. It's in his hometown. So, I don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do. I wouldn't do like Mellow or anything. Like, I feel like that ship is sailed.
I wouldn't either.
We've seen it too much. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I really don't know. Yeah, I was just trying to think of like anybody else, really, but like, yeah, there's really not many people you could use in that spot. So, I mean, again, some of the people we mentioned, they could join in for a quick fight, little jaunt at WrestleMania against Randy.
I did think of someone, but I think I don't want it to happen at the same time. Because I feel like you'd want to build this guy. I was thinking Miro, but again, you would want to build him as a legitimate thing again.
Yeah, you would want to build him up a little bit more before like taking a loss to Randy Orton and all that. But who knows? Time will tell. From his surgery and comes back even better than ever and all that. But we're gonna fire off just a handful of quick fire segments tonight. Drew and Damian Priest both had pre-taped vignettes or responses to each other. Drew basically saying Priest succeeded because of Drew. So if it wasn't for Drew like having world titles and this and that, Priest would not have anything, where Priest clapback was just like, okay, no, you're just trying to play a victim, and I responded and did things my way, and they were correct. They were the correct way and all that. So I'm just gonna be your villain then, Drew. So meet me next week. I challenge you to WrestleMania match, and we'll see where that goes and all that. So we'll get another face-to-face next week, for a match that we had all assumed was going to happen. So I guess next week we'll just have it be made official, which again, that's fine. I know we were both kind of feeling this match anyways.
Yeah.
Just because, the two do have history, the two do deserve to have, a good marquee WrestleMania match. And that's what this one's gonna be from both ends and all that. Any thoughts with this before we go into next week?
You pretty much summed it up. Like, I feel like this is just a good place for them, really, on the card when it comes to really settling business between both of these guys, like finally putting the nail in the coffin so they can both move on to this. And
Yeah.
I am looking forward to that face-to-face next week because both of these guys are really good on the mic, so I'm very curious to see what they're going to say in the ring to really elevate what they have now to the next level. So I am interested in what they're going to say. I always look forward to seeing both of these guys,
Oh,
if
yeah.
it's matches or promo segments. They always do a good job with that.
Oh yeah. And we did get some announcements for next week.
Oof.
I'm not gonna say what they all are, but I want to mention this, and this actually, this is actually gonna bring up just a little bit of topic of conversation. So next week we're gonna find out who the number one contenders are for the women's tag team titles for WrestleMania. So we're gonna have a kind of an inter-brand gauntlet match between the teams that are on both Raw and SmackDown. Hey, cool, awesome, fantastic. That's fine. I'm fine with that. That's cool. We're gonna find some number one contenders. Great, awesome. But here's the kicker. Let's go through these teams real quick. So first of all, the newly formed Natalia and Maxine Dupree. Okay, fine. They've been talking. They've been teaming. Sure, fine,
Yeah.
whatever. You got the Secret Hervis. Yes, again, fine. They're a team. Michin and B-Fab, which, I mean, they just recently kind of started hanging out with each other, but they at least have that, and they've been in each other's corners for the past, like, month or so. So, you know what? Fine. Yeah, if they're a tag team, good. Good on you. Cool, neat, awesome. Finally, Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark are doing something. So, that's great. That's awesome. The Cali girls, so Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, they're in this as well. Lyra Valkyria and Bailey,
Yeah.
they're a tag team in
Yeah.
a tag team gauntlet match.
Yeah.
One of them being the women's IC title champion.
And also spoiling the match essentially on Monday too to lead into this.
Yeah. Now granted, I get it. Graphics can change between nights, but at the same time, like, and it's also kind of telegraphing who might be winning this too.
Yeah.
Because if you remember back on Monday with Liv and Raquel being like, oh yeah, so about those IC title, about that IC title and all that. So it's like, why do we have to put our champion in another championship match?
Yeah.
Potentially.
It doesn't make any sense in the slightest. Like, if I'm being completely honest, and I hate to say it, I do see Bailey and Lyra winning this to head into WrestleMania against Liv and Raquel. It doesn't make sense, but it's just how I see it, just because of how everything's telegraphed when it comes to everything on television. Because as much as there's like unpredictability thrown in there here and there, when it comes to how things are telegraphed on television, when it comes to, okay, we're going to talk shit about this person and it's going to lead into an interaction with them. They're going to get the advantage this week. We're going to get the advantage the next upcoming week. Because we have the match happening with Liv and Bailey on Monday. Obviously, Liv and Raquel are going to get involved in that, which leads into this tag team match, and then you could see them handling their beef at WrestleMania. It doesn't really make any sense to me because we thought it was going to be Alexa and Nikki Cross having some sort of thing with them, because they teased it at the Royal Rumble where Liv eliminated Alexa, then she eliminated her again in the Elimination Chamber. So you would think, in a sense, damn, I got to get my lick back on Liv.
Yeah.
You would think Alexa had that sort of mindset in her head, and obviously she could just pull Nikki from the Wyatt Six to really help her fight off Liv and Raquel from there. I thought that was the route they were going down originally, but now they're doing this. And I wouldn't be opposed to this match if Lyra didn't have the title, because I the thing that sucks about this the most is I don't see Liv and Raquel losing those titles at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Could it happen? Sure. But I don't see it happening. And I'm really hoping that Lyra doesn't take the pinfall in this match at WrestleMania. And I'm happy to be wrong. But I hope she doesn't take the pinfall in this match, because Bayley takes it, okay, whatever. But Lyra, no, because this is going to be the second time we do this when it comes to the qualifying match for Bayley to get there. And then we're going to have another thing where it's like, potentially, if this match happens, she eats the pin at Mania, because you can't keep having your champion get pinned. It's different sometimes, or it's like you have a match where title's not on the line or whatever, and let's say essentially you have the person pin them and then you get the qualifying match if it's not a number one contender spot. Okay, it's nice to throw that in there every so often if it makes sense with whatever's going on, but she hasn't really had any good representation when it comes to really putting that title somewhere. And that's a vocal point I've noticed with a lot of people, because a lot of people know that Lyra is a good wrestler. She can put on good performances, but she's not being booked the way that title should be booked. Is what matters, because it almost makes us think, for one, there should have been one title to begin with, and two, you know, they should have had a game plan set out when it came to everything that was currently going on here. I mean, if it was me, obviously we know Becky's not coming, doesn't really make any sense at this point, I would just do the I wouldn't even be doing this Bayley and Io match. No, not Io. This Bayley and Lyra match next week. I would just save it for Mania. Fuck it, save it for Mania, and then throw someone else in there. I just don't like it. It's just like a random thing to throw in there. You're pretty much spoiling the match on Monday, because
like you could have done the same setup you did on Monday for the Bayley match for WrestleMania. It was literally right there, served to you on a silver platter, and you decided to just swat it away like you were some child that just wanted their, nothing to eat, I guess. I don't know. Children are fickle like that. Yeah, it's just weird, and I don't understand why we can't just focus on one thing, one person with one thing. Like, they don't need to be in this. They absolutely don't need to. And you know what would have been cooler? If you incorporated some NXT talent in there. That would have been cool. You know, not saying that they have to win and go to Mania right away, but that would have at least filled the ranks a little bit. That would have been cool. You know, but whatever. We gotta throw our IC champion into it. Fine. Cool. And then this last little quickfire segment, Pretty Deadly basically make fun of The Miz and Carmelo Hayes in the back. I guess they're trying to set up a tag team match with the two. Finally, Miz and Melo are going to show what they can do as a team, which, okay, cool, neat.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's Pretty Deadly were kind of funny in this segment. I will say this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
they had some good lines to clap back with.
I mean, I'll admit I'm more like invested in them than whatever's going on with Miz and Melo. Like, I'm sorry, you know, Miz has his moments and everything, but it's like one of our biggest talking points when it came to Melo, especially when the win started happening again, was for him to have a clean streak and potentially go somewhere with it. Now he's doing this, and it doesn't really seem like it's benefiting him at all. And that's one of the issues I do have with people getting called up from NXT. I would hope, because we even talked about it on Grappling with the Week when it came to the releases and stuff, I want them to have a proper game plan with them before they move them up. Not just move them up because I want this guy or I want this girl.
Yeah.
Have a plan.
Like, actually have a direction you're going to send these talent with.
Yeah.
You know, don't just bring them up just to bring them up, or bring them up, have them have one match, and then get injured.
Yeah.
Keanu James, looking at you. um, yeah. So I mean, a possible short program with these two teams.
Yeah.
Cool, great, awesome, fantastic. Um, yeah. I mean, that was basically SmackDown. I mean, I thought it was a good, well paced show. I mean,
Yeah.
what was it last week? We were talking about how it was like the best SmackDown. I think this week may have been the most consistent SmackDown.
Yeah,
If
I
that
will
makes
say
sense.
that.
Like it it flowed really well. Some segments were a little in, like the whole Tiffany Charlotte thing, but
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think everything had enough time to breathe and all that. We got some pretty good matches, some good action going on, some good promo work. Yeah, it was a really damn good SmackDown. But what about you, Drop? What do you think of it?
I would have to agree because it definitely felt like every hour we were heading into something that we were like
Mm-hmm.
invested to learn about, or a match that transpired. Like when it came to the first hour, I will say that I was like completely invested. When it came to the
Mm-hmm.
opener with Punk, when it came to Rey Fenix's debut, which was one of the things I was looking forward to the most, to be completely honest. And then you saw the things happen with Jacob Fatu later in the night getting his number one contender spot, which I was happy about. And then learning about what the favor was with CM Punk when he revealed it to Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins during
Mm-hmm.
that segment itself to really close off the night. And obviously the stuff with KO, got us nervous, but obviously wishing the best for him. But still, there was those things within the show that made me want to tune in because those are the people that obviously I care about. Not saying I didn't care about anybody else, but obviously you're gonna have those bits and pieces within the third hour, within these 3 hours, that you're really
Yeah.
curious to see what's gonna transpire with so and so this week. It's almost like you're watching an episode of the anime where everything, if it's whenever the next episode comes out, you're really curious to see how the story is going to evolve. That's essentially what wrestling is, just live action anime, where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
how is the story going to progress between John Cena and Cody Rhodes this week? What is Cody going to say? What's Cena going to say, for example? So I will say, this definitely was well paced, and I really did enjoy the show.
Yeah, again just a really good show, and we had a good show here tonight as well. A little on the shorter side, but that's fine. I think
Yeah,
right now we're finishing the build for WrestleMania. We're kind of throwing a few things in there, just again to fill out the mid card and all that, which again is fine. We do need those matches that can be a bit breather, like they can act as a breather and a buffer between some of the bigger matches and all that. So yeah, really looking forward to WrestleMania and some of these results. And I'm glad too that we're getting confirmed that at least some of these matches aren't gonna be, or don't seem to be, multi-man matches. So
yeah.
that's at least a plus. So maybe multi-man mania can happen at another date. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out at a later time. But I'm going to take time right now to thank you. That's right, you, for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast, whether you listen to it live, listening to the VOD afterwards. Just thank you for checking this out. If you enjoyed what we had to talk and say about things, why not follow us on all of our social media accounts down in not only in the description where the links are, but all of our handles are right there in the yellow on the screen with our background and all that. Got AniMa W3 Studio. You got Legendy Vash, who again he couldn't make it tonight because The Rock called and all that. Um, Drop this box. You got Watkins MW, and of course you've got the wonderful, awesome hashtag known as Weebs of the Ring. That's where we can kind of keep track of the conversation and um, things that you want to bring up before, during, or after the programs. We'll keep an eye on it, and it's also a great way to kind of give us some feedback on the show because hey, we're nothing without you guys tuning in, and we love to just continue to up our game as time goes on. Weaves of the Ring is presented by AniMa W3 Studio. Thank you, of course, to our production team for all of their hard work, and thank you once again for joining us. And remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in a recording of this podcast. Everyone have a good night, get some well rest, and we will see you on Monday for the return of Monday Night Raw at our normal time.
You guys on Monday.